Morning guys, thought I'd do a recording today. We'll go through most of the BitMEX pairs. Pretty interesting point in the market now. Starting off with Bitcoin on the weekly. I'll just start off with this trend line here. We broke the trend line at the close of last week. It wasn't a bullish engulfing candle, but nonetheless we've clearly broken and closed above the trend line, and also right on the weekly 20 EMA we broke above the weekly 50 EMA. Pretty crucial point there that we've just broken through. This current weekly candle here, we can't really take any of that into consideration, but momentum looks to be building off of this level here. So we've broken back above resistance now, so we're actually looking good for more upside. I'll zoom down to the lower time frames and we'll see that 8,400's got a bit of resistance, but if we can break that, we're probably looking good to go to 9,500, to be honest. Got the daily up now. As you can see, the daily, this trend line's much cleaner here. I use the close of a candle, not the high or low point, the top of the wicks, but some people do. As we can see, we're just retesting that now, so today's candle will be pretty important as to where it closes. If it closes above, bullish engulfing candle, no wicks, we're looking pretty good. I've got 8,600 resistance on the daily. On the lower time frames, it's about 8,400, so we're still underneath a significant amount of resistance here, but if we do break above this, especially on the daily, yeah, we're looking pretty good for some more upside. So let's just chuck in another resistance level here, about 9,400 ish. Yeah, that's a pretty strong move to there, so a nice break and retest. Away we go. Alright, 4-hour chart now, and you can see how epic the 7,700, 7,800 level was. Support, support, support all the way along here. Break and retest. A few rejections here, just a little tuck here, and now we've broken, and that was a perfect retest and hold above there. So we're actually short into that level. I was anticipating more downside. We bulletproofed, we protected that trade, which was good, but unfortunately we didn't get in a trade to the upside. Hindsight's great, and that was a pretty good entry to go long, to be honest. Now we're following through to 8,400. We're actually nearly already there, just the last hour or two. So that's our next resistance level, 8,400 on the daily, 8,600. Can we break it? It does look pretty overextended now, so it's a no trade zone. I'll just whiz down to the 1-hour chart. It was a really nice bull flag on that time frame. This is it here, the 1-hour time frame. Really nice run up here with momentum, consolidated into a nice flag pattern and broke out. That's a huge breakout candle. You would have needed a buy stop to enter that trade, but usually, well, I always tend to wait for the end of the 1-hour candle. In this case, it closed right here, way too far, too big a breakout for us to trade that. The risk reward to the next resistance level was just nowhere near enough, so we just had to let that one go. No trade, no opportunity there. Let's just see if we can break this level, or the rest of the day we're just going to reject and consolidate. So Bitcoin's looking pretty strong at the moment. I'm looking forward to the next few days, that's for sure. Alrighty, Ethereum weekly chart up now. Price action is quite similar to Bitcoin, so we won't spend too long on it, but I've drawn in a resistance level here at the mid 150s, 153 thereabouts. Had some nice low test candles here, so we've got buyer pressure coming in. Now it's pushed up with momentum, so I suspect we will test 153 from here on the next possibly this weekly candle. So it should be a pretty exciting week ahead for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So we'll look for a little sneaky long if we can, but we're going to need a nice pattern and nice risk reward without any resistance in our path. So this could go as high as testing these EMAs again. I wouldn't be surprised. Doesn't quite look as bullish as Bitcoin just yet, but it's not too bad. So around this zone here we could get a run up. Got the daily up here, not a great deal to break down on this one here. This shaded area, we've got a pretty wide resistance band here, so we need to break above this trend line, this resistance level, break and retest to head off. So that's a long way away yet. That's above 165 before we can see a long-term trend change on Ethereum. Just for now, we're just right on this trend line I've got drawn, so it's going to be interesting to see if we reject this level, and it also lines up with 8,400, 8,600 level on Bitcoin. So it's going to be, the pair will probably move together. Will it reject, or are we going to actually have a proper breakout and daily, weekly trend change? It's going to be a good week or two ahead. Got the 1-hour Ethereum chart up here. Nothing really too much. It's pretty choppy. There's no bull flag like there was with Bitcoin. That level there is probably even suspect. We've got a few rejections at this zone. This candle here, still got 3/4 now to close, so that could still break up yet. A long way to go. Pretty messy, pretty ugly. Would need to break above 146, 147 before we look at an entry. And it's pretty choppy all the way through there, so it's not a clear level. But nonetheless, if it does break above 148, mid 150s is well on the cards. That would actually be pretty good risk reward. How far is it? 148. That's 4%. Get pretty good leverage on that. So that'll be a decent trade if we get a nice solid entry on it. Got Bitcoin Cash 1 hour chart. There's not too much data on the high time frames to give me a pretty good bias, but this run does look pretty overextended on the lower time frames at least. Possibly a fifth wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave coming now. Looks exhausted here. We'll see where it goes. I might dig up some other charts with a little bit more price data and history, but since it forked into ABC and SV, there's not a great deal there. Also, Binance delisted SV. And ABC just changed the ticker to BCH, so it's a little bit hard to trade on the higher time frames with Bitcoin Cash at the moment, but at the moment there's not really anything to trade here. This run's so far extended that I don't want to take any continuation pattern breakouts from here because it could be the end of it. Not really a clear flag or anything like that. It's pretty choppy, but it has pushed up and broken through. So, yeah, nothing really there for me at this stage. Litecoin weekly up now. I'm just watching this one for a little move to the upside actually. On the lower time frames, it's setting up for a possible trade. So just want to keep an eye on this one. We've got some deceleration here. We've got a doji and a low test candle here, bullish low test close. So this candle here, this is the current weekly candle. It's only a few days old. So I suspect we could possibly push a little bit higher and retest the weekly 20 MA or maybe even this horizontal level here. So that would be good. The lower time frames look pretty good as well. So let's have a quick look. This is the daily now. This is the horizontal level here. A really nice bounce here. Double bottom, break, retest, and now we've actually pushed and closed back above it. So this could act as support now, and also we've crossed and closed above the daily 50 EMA now. So this looks pretty good for a nice strong run actually, and that's reasonable risk reward to the next horizontal level. About 11%, and by the time price moves that far, that'll probably meet up with the weekly 20 EMA as well, so could be a nice trade coming up. Alright, here's the 1 hour, and this is where it looks pretty good. We've got multiple horizontal levels here, so we've pushed and broken above this. Also had a channel in here as well, but I've just used the top line of the channel. Pretty good resistance there. Break, it didn't really retest the top of it, it just sort of consolidated. Really ugly bull flag, I suppose you could say. I wouldn't even really call it a proper flag, but we did break up, and now we're retesting the top of this line here and possibly the 4 hour 50 EMA. Good support here now. This support, price is just traveling on or around it, so if we can get a nice close just above that, we could be looking pretty good for another move up. Where will we target? If we can get a close maybe on the 4 hour above this level, we would look to take a medium term trade up to here. 14% move, probably get 10x leverage on it. That's a pretty good trade. So a little bit of bullish action on Litecoin too. So yeah, I've got a close eye on this one, possibly today, maybe even tomorrow on this one. Alright, I've got ADA up now. We've just printed a pretty concerning candle. This is on... Yeah, this isn't the BitMEX charts. Let's just whiz over the BitMEX charts. Not so severe. These wicks, I don't really like these wicks because quite often they're trying to dip down to liquidity pools, just trying to pick up some orders to make some profits. So generally when that happens, if the wicks are really large, price ends up eventually tracking all the way back down to there. So going long from here is pretty dangerous. Let's just whiz over to the higher time frames. Right, so I've got 88 daily up here, and I've been watching this for a long time. You can clearly see this is an accumulation zone, and it's done a full retrace. Look over here, we've gone actually below the previous low all the way back in 2017. That's humongous. So we don't really have new lows to go to from here, and if we do, it's a long way down. So I suspect upside here eventually, but we need to break out of this accumulation zone. If you want to know a little bit more about what I'm talking and what I'm implying, have a look at Wyckoff accumulation and Wyckoff theory, accumulation distribution. This is pretty classic sort of behavior as far as that goes, but this candle here is a bit of a concern, so I wouldn't be surprised to see 400 sats again. This is a candle here on the 1 hour chart. Pretty awesome support here, so I was hoping for a push off this level, but now that we've got this wick, I think we're just going to have to wait on ADA and see what happens. So that wick has been picked up as well, and look at that, they're both at the exact same point, so 400 sats. People have got orders sitting here trying to push price down to pick them up. Coincidence? Definitely not. So just be cautious of ADA, guys. We may get a run up, but eventually I suspect that we're going to end up back down here. Alright, Tron is the last one. EOS and Ripple, I don't really have too much to report on that, so I won't bother doing any video coverage on that. But we've got pretty good support here, about 181 sats. This is the Binance chart. Nice support all along here. Broke with momentum, and we pushed back to retest. We did actually push back above a little bit, but now we're starting to, looks like that pullback is over, and we're looking for another leg down. So the first target will be this previous low, and beyond that, we can look all the way down here at this bottom. So I'm hoping that we do start to get some momentum to the downside. This is a really big risk reward trade, so I'll be willing to hold this one for a couple of months if we can start showing our edge in this one. So that's it for the video coverage for now, guys. Markets are starting to move. Bitcoin and Ethereum starting to look bullish. Just got a little bit of resistance to overcome first, and yeah, we're looking pretty good for 2020.